Deontay, before you got into boxing, you had some rough jobs. What was the worst of those jobs?
The worst of those jobs, I used to work for a Mercedes company that dealt with different parts and stuff like that called AI3. And I think that was probably the worst job, out of the ones that I had to pick up to support my daughter. Only for the simple fact that, I had to get on the dollies and stuff like that. In this facility at the time, it was filled with polluted smoke and stuff. You can stand on one end of the building and look down, you see all the environment polluted. And on the dollies, you had the forklift. I was the forklift driver, so I had to pick up the parts and stuff for the cars, and I always had to rotate around, and it was too much. It used to always make me sick and different things like that. So I had to get up out of there. That was about the only one.
So what can you tell us about the days before fighting, before you realized, because you didn't like fighting at the beginning, right?
Right. I never looked for trouble, but trouble always found me. I was prone to fighting. I wasn't no stranger to no fight. I never shied away from no fight. But you're correct. I didn't like fighting because, it brought bodily harm to people, and I knew what I was capable of doing. Even at a younger age, I always was that wild child that you didn't want to mess with.
So how many tests are you losing in your childhood?
None. There's a lot of people say I'm 50-0, and I mean, and in streetwise and all this and stuff. But I can really say that I'm undefeated. In a negative sense, and I'm undefeated in a positive sense. I call it a negative sense because I wasn't getting no money for it, and it didn't benefit my life. If anything, it would have brought a lot of troubles my way. With the positive, I transformed that. It's almost like playing street basketball and then joining a team, whether it's high school or college, and you become organized. You play organized basketball. So the transformation to being a fighter and being able to have people to look up to me, have people that I can motivate and come from the same place I can. It's uplift them and give them some type of direction. So I consider it positive.
It's unusual that you would be this kind of undefeated, this kind of brash, and I assume those things had a lot to do with shaping you.
Well, it all plays a part. Anything you go in your life, whether it is positive or negative, it plays a part and it affects your life. What made me a fighter, it was because of my daughter. It was solely because of my daughter what got me into boxing. She was born with spina bifida, and I was in college at the time, and listening to the doctors and hearing what all that it took to take care of a child with spina bifida, I wasn't gonna be able to make no money in school. So I had to stop and get a job, and that's when all the multiples of jobs came about because I promised myself that I'd never struggle in life, no matter how many jobs I had to get. I've overcame all that. It's a lot of stuff that I've overcame, and I'm just glad to be here. But my daughter, she was the true reason to it. I told her when she was 1 year old that I'd be a world champion, not knowing that how I would get there or what would be the plan of me getting there, because boxing was new to me. You're talking to a guy that didn't even know nothing about the Olympics. I knew about Muhammad Ali and in the Olympics, just little stuff that they promoted about him, but I didn't really know the true meaning about what was the Olympics and what was the purpose of it, how you got there. I remember being in the gym, we having a discussion in 2007 of how you make it to the Olympics. But we knew one thing, that if we kept winning, we'll find out everything that we needed to know, and that's what we did. We kept winning, and here I am.
Big, tough Deontay Wilder. Everyone knows you are very good at what you do, and you are a strong man, but you go weak when talking about fighting for your daughter. Can you explain to us exactly how that came to be, where you realized, oh, I've got to go earn this living for her with my hands?
Man, it's the saying that you don't know what love is until you have a child, and that just the hammer on the nail right there, because the love I have for my children is ridiculous. I feel like I had them. I really feel like I have my children. I feel like I'm the mother goose when it comes to my children. I don't play about when it comes to them. I feel that them being so young that I have the ability to instill to them whatever I want to, and I choose to instill in them love. I choose to instill in them peace. I choose to instill in them to be able to love everyone, and just love my kids is everything for me.